My husband cheated on me while I was managing a renovation of the house that was legally mine. I want to be precise about that detail because it matters to what happened next. The house was mine, in my name, bought with money from my grandmother's estate before we married, and never transferred into joint ownership despite 3 years of gentle pressure from Jamie to put it in both our names. I'd resisted not because I expected what happened, but because something had always told me not to. I don't know what to call that thing, instinct maybe, or just the particular caution of a woman who grew up watching her mother unpick the consequences of a marriage that had gone wrong without adequate protection. We'd been planning the renovation for 2 years, kitchen extension, loft conversion, full rewire and replumb. The scope had grown, as scopes do, until it was a project significant enough to require me to project manage it myself. I have a background in construction contracts, and I knew what unsupervised projects became. Jamie had offered to help, but his help, in practice, meant opinions rather than actions, so we'd agreed he'd manage his own work while I managed the renovation. I took 2 days a week away from my job to be on site. I coordinated the contractors, reviewed the programme, signed off on variations. For 6 months, I ate lunch in a half-demolished kitchen and had site meetings in rooms with no ceilings and drove home covered in dust. In month 4 of the renovation, I found a receipt in Jamie's jacket pocket while I was looking for his dry cleaning ticket. It was for a hotel. The hotel was 20 minutes from our house. The date was a Tuesday. One of the 2 days a week, I was on site. I put the receipt back. I didn't say anything. I started paying attention. I'm methodical by training and temperament. So what I did next was what I always do with a problem. I gathered information before I acted. I didn't hire anyone. I didn't go through his phone. I paid attention to patterns, where he said he was, when he said it, whether it matched with what I could observe. And over 6 weeks I built a picture that was clear enough that no further evidence felt necessary. Then I had a conversation with my solicitor, the same one who'd handled my grandmother's estate, who'd registered the house in my name, who knew the full history of my asset position. I told her what I suspected and asked her to walk me through my options. She walked me through them carefully. The house being in my name was significant. In the event of divorce, its status as a premarital asset in my sole name would be a relevant factor, not an absolute protection, because 7 years of marriage and the significant increase in value during that period complicated things, but a factor. The renovation I was currently managing, funded from my own savings rather than joint finances, added further complexity in my favour. She advised me to document the renovation expenditure carefully. I had been doing this already, because I always document things carefully, but I became more systematic about it. I also, on her advice, began keeping a contemporaneous log of relevant events. Not because I was certain of what I'd do or when I'd do it, but because documentation, once absent, cannot be recreated. By month 6 of the renovation, the loft conversion was complete, the kitchen extension was watertight, and I had a clear picture of what my marriage was, and a clear set of options for what to do about it. The renovation was finished on a Friday. The following Monday, I told Jamie I knew and that I wanted him to move out. He didn't deny it. I hadn't expected him to. By that point, there was nothing plausible to deny. He cried, which I'd expected. He said it had meant nothing, which I found I didn't have the energy to engage with. He asked if we could try to work through it. I told him I didn't want to. That was the truest thing I said in the whole conversation. Not that I couldn't, I don't know whether I could have, had I wanted to, but that I simply clearly didn't want to. I had spent 6 months managing a renovation, and 6 weeks managing the realisation that my marriage was not what I'd thought it was, and I was tired, and I wanted him out of my house. He moved into a flat 2 weeks later. His name was not on the house, his furniture was not significant, and the process was cleaner than it might have been. The divorce took 16 months. The house was the central negotiation point, as I'd known it would be. The increase in value during the marriage, including the substantial uplift from the renovation I'd funded and managed, was a genuine area of dispute. We settled. He received a sum that acknowledged his indirect contribution to the household during the marriage. It was less than he'd wanted, and more than my solicitor had initially thought we'd need to pay. I kept the house. I live in it now, alone, in a kitchen extension I project managed and a loft conversion with a view across the rooftops that I chose the dormer positioning for, and I find it extremely difficult to be unhappy about the outcome when I look at either of those things. The renovation cost £460,000. It added significantly more than that to the value of the property. I funded it entirely, and I managed it entirely, and my name is the only one on the deeds. Sometimes the best investment you can make is in something that's already yours. Has a project ever turned out to be worth more than you expected in ways you didn't anticipate? Drop it in the comments. And if you want more complete stories with no part 2s that never come, follow the page. New story every day.